Hey, hello everyone. Good evening. How's it all going? I was just reading through all your chat. Hi everyone. Jackie, have I got a glass of wine? I haven't actually, no. I've been so tired all day and I can't work out whether it's just how knackering this weather is. Like the sort of, I don't know. I've just been looking at what you guys were saying. Apparently, it's really nice in Ireland, but here in Brighton, it's just been raining and wet and grey. And I've just been knackered, and I was sort of thinking maybe it's the wine. It's a sort of slight hangover as well. So I thought I'll have a night off the wine today. Also, I've had so much to do today. I've been in meetings since 11 a.m. So I've been desperately writing today's chapter between meetings, and then I only finished it half an hour ago. So I absolutely couldn't have been drinking wine, otherwise the chapter just wouldn't have got done. And I desperately don't want there to be a day where I have to crawl up to the webcam and go, "I'm really sorry, I haven't written anything." So hi everyone. I think was it Helen said you didn't think you'd be able to make it. Hello, glad you did. And all of you chatting. I'm so glad to hear the weather was a bit nicer in Ireland than it was here. Ugh, it was woofy here today. Claire, drink more water. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Auntie Claire. I have had quite a lot of water today. I did have some wet. Hi, Kim in Australia and Georgina in New Zealand. I think you are. Hello, John and London calling and Nuts. I'm just going to call you Nuts because it feels weird to say Nuts about 73 every time. So yesterday you were voting on what was going to happen to Emma and Jack on the way home. And it was quite a tight vote, I think. I've lost my bit of paper that I was doing the vote on, but I think it was quite tight between two of the answers. One did win though, so I've written a chapter. And we'll see how it goes. Georgina says you had your first takeaway in 5 weeks last night. Oh, mate, that is decent. I feel like this lockdown's broken me because we used to eat takeaway quite a lot because me and my husband are both comics, so we'd be away a lot and never seem to have fresh stuff in the house. And we haven't had takeaway for a while during the lockdown. And then today we sort of said, let's get takeaway because I've got such a busy day. And then I was sat ordering it. And I was looking at all the options and I couldn't be asked to order takeaway, so I cooked instead. That's fucking mental, isn't it? To be looking at all the options and to have so little brain power that you'd rather go in the kitchen and cook than scroll through a list of things and have the food brought to you. That is next level brain broken. So I would have had takeaway today, but I just couldn't choose. I just couldn't pick something from the list. Hairball, yes, I was a little cameo on the werewolf thing earlier, although I got him into trouble. So my friend John does this show called Werewolf Live, which if you're looking for entertainment, it's really fun. It's on Twitch, and he gets a load of comedians together. Like I think Ed Gamble and Glenn Moore were on it today, and they play werewolf, which is this fun sort of parlor game. And my husband was playing it today, and I sort of popped in because I'd finished a meeting. And I'm usually really good at reading him, and I sort of said, "Are you a werewolf?" And I really thought he was. I got him killed, so he's quite mad at me. So, hello everybody. Right, we'll get going, shall we? It's 5 past. I think anybody that would be turning up would be here. Let's do it. I love how the numbers on the live one are steadily climbing every day. I think I feel like 10 o'clock works a bit better for most people. I know a couple of people can't make it, but I feel like the numbers are a bit higher at 10 o'clock. I feel like you've got kids to bed and cooking's done and everything's finished, and it's too late to vacuum or put washing on now. So let's have a look at today's chapter. So at the end of the last chapter, Jack and Emma were leaving the zoo and heading for the car. So here we go. Let's have a look at chapter 12. The car was, of course, where Jack had said it would be, but that hadn't stopped them taking an elaborate detour right round the car park to the spot that Emma was convinced they would find it in. You really thought it would be up here, up in this corner, Jack said laughingly. Yes, I was so sure we'd gone round that bit there. She pointed to a bend in the car park. You are terrible. Come on, I'll take you to where it actually definitely is. What a waste of time, she said. I deserve 2 shits in the hallway for this. You might just have them. Emma laughed. Considering how little time they'd known each other, they really did get on extremely easily. Her mind kept playing and rewinding the little memory clip she had made of him calling her beautiful. He was just being polite, a very sober version of herself kept saying. I don't know. He didn't say Fiona was beautiful, a more excitable thought argued as she climbed into the passenger seat of Jack's car. True, but maybe he was saying it in a more of an older man way. Yeah, like an older man who goes to Thailand on his own every year, maybe. Oh, give over. Jack's not like that. Besides, he said you were beautiful. He didn't say you were hot. The stern thought was trying its best to be heard over the din of excitement from her other thoughts. Absolutely not hot, Emma heard herself saying out loud into the car. She froze. Are you cold? Said Jack. Emma didn't know what to do. She couldn't very well say, no, I was just reinforcing out loud for myself that you had not said I was sexy. So she just nodded and then sat there as he turned the car heaters up and flicked all of the plastic blower nozzles onto her face. It was already a hot day, and now she had inadvertently landed herself in a DIY fan oven due to her uncontrollable mouth. Well done, Emma. You really do know how to spoil a fantastic day. Could you put the address in the sat-nav, please? Jack said, turning the wheel to start edging the car out of the car park and into the traffic on the main road. Emma leant forward to reach the little box and felt her t-shirt unpeeling from the seat as she did so. She imagined the sweat patch that must be developing there, sprawled across her back like Africa on a globe. She ran hot anyway, and embarrassment made her into a small lady-shaped furnace. Put all of this into a small metal box under 6 mini hairdryers, and it was a recipe for molten woman. She tried to twist in the seat so that Jack couldn't see the sweat patch down her back as she reached into the sat-nav. She could just about get a finger to it, and she began to prod her new postcode into it, wiping a bead of sweat out of her eyes. There we go, she said, thumping back into the seat and feeling the unwelcome sensation of the fabric squeezing a bead of sweat down her trousers and into an unpleasant crevice. Oh, and I've warmed up now. Phew, she all but shouted and swiped away at the car control panel to do what she could to get the heat off. Thank God. I don't know how you can be cold. I'm a puddle over here, said Jack, eyes on the road. Must have been a cold flush. You get them at my age, said Emma. You get them at my age? She then asked herself, furiously on the inside. What in the name of all fuck does that mean? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? I know you're not supposed to ask a lady and all that, or are you now? Emma laughed yet again, grateful once more that Jack had an innate talent for skimming over the more awkward sentences she served up during conversational tennis. I'm 28, she said. You? 42, said Jack. Meaning of life, they both said together, and Emma thought it would have been a really cute little moment if she hadn't snorted loudly afterwards. The snort was quite mortifying, but then, mid-snort, she noticed she was snorting and tried to sort of reverse the snort action, but ended up just forcing a gobbet of spit out of her mouth. It lay on the grey dashboard, glistening and winking at her. She glanced sideways at Jack, but he was concentrating on the roads and the evening traffic and didn't seem to have noticed. She shifted and casually wiped it away, feeling, if possible, even hotter and more uncomfortable than she had before. For every nice thing, there is an equal and opposite way that I react to it, she thought glumly, glancing around the seat for an ejector button. How long have you lived in the building? She asked, desperate for anything to say that didn't come straight from the awkward guide to awkward conversations. Coming up on 5 years now. I moved in after I split up with my wife. Oh, Emma didn't know what to say. Maybe, sorry you split up with your wife? But then what if he says, she was a bitch, and we think less of him? Why would he transform into a New York stand-up comedian? Luckily, Jack interrupted her inner train wreck by carrying on. She absolutely loved our house, and I wasn't bothered, so I got the flat as a kind of temporary thing, and I suppose I've just not finished this temporary bit yet. Although I feel like I'm turning a corner. There you go. He talks about her perfectly nicely, and he's still from England. Are you still friends with your ex? Oh, no. I think if we'd split up a few years before we did, then we might have stood a chance of salvaging something, but We really carried on trying to love each other until we really hated each other. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have kids? Sorry, I'm being really intrusive. Sorry. Oh, no, it's okay. I brought up my ex. No, I don't have children. Do you? Emma spat a laugh across her lap and it bounced off the dashboard and hit her square in the face. Jesus, no! My life has. I'm not there yet, or possibly ever. I'm. Gosh, you've really started that sentence with no idea where it's going, said her brain interestedly. Yes, that's because it's your job to finish them, she snapped back angrily. Ah, you have time, said Jack. So, no boyfriend then? He was peering through the gloom at the roads and flicking his eyes back to the sat-nav periodically. Uh, Emma's mind's eye was filled with pictures of Theo. Should she tell Jack about Theo? Why would you tell him about Theo? She asked herself crossly. He is not your boyfriend. Good point. No, I don't have a boyfriend. Jack nodded. I didn't think so. Emma was quite used to not knowing what to say back to people, but usually because she was being weird, not because they'd said something offbeat. What do you mean? She finally managed to ask him. Well, he began, still scrutinising the sat-nav. Sorry, I'm just going to pull over in the garage and check the sat-nav. He flicked the indicator and began pulling into the forecourt. I'm sure this route isn't right. Maybe it's routing us round traffic, Emma said helpfully, desperate to get Jack back onto the subject of why she screamed spinster. No, this one doesn't do fancy stuff like that. It's only one step up from an atlas. He stopped the car and pulled the sat-nav out of its holder. Emma, have you moved house? She peered at him. Yes, I moved in with you. Maybe Jack was just flat out losing his mind. That would be exciting. It would be nice not to be the doziest person in a friendship for once. No, I mean, since then. This is not our postcode. He tilted the screen to show her the postcode she had directed them to. It was the perfect bastard amalgamation of her current, previous, and parents' postcodes. Oh, I'm an idiot, she said. I'm so sorry. Jack was laughing. It's no trouble. I've no idea where we are, though. Let me just reset this. Ah, I'll go and get us some sweets. I'm really sorry. Honestly, it's fine. Oh, we must be up to 3 steaming turds by now. Are you reviewing spending the day with me in steaming turds? He said, confused. No, I meant Elliot. Oh, never mind. I'll go and get some sweets. She climbed out of the car and began crossing the forecourt to the garage. As she reached the door, she had to jump out of the way to avoid being swiped by a flashy red car coming into the pump. She stared at the floor and held up a hand to apologise for being in the way. Stood in the sweeties aisle, she suddenly felt very tired. It had been such a good day, and now she felt like she'd added a sour element. You only got the postcode wrong, she reminded herself, and he really doesn't seem to mind. But fully accepting that fact wasn't making her feel better. There must be something else. I don't think so, she could hear Jack saying. That was the thing causing the sickly radiation in her stomach. Then, layered on top of that was the knowledge that if she hadn't got the postcode wrong, he would have carried on explaining instead of getting distracted, and she could have some closure on what he'd meant. Ugh, why was it bothering her so much? Emma? She heard her name and looked up, scanning for Jack's face amongst the shiny consumables. It is Emma, isn't it? Emma couldn't believe her eyes. There in front of her was Theo. She reached out a hand and patted him on the chest. He was real. The knowledge that he was real made her retract her hand suddenly, aware of what she'd done. Touching his chest made her think about her own and the aching that was the direct result of crouching behind a car to spy on the man now in front of her. Hang on, what is he, Irish, wasn't he? You work for Futurescope, do no, hang on a minute. Irish. How do we be from Ireland? I can't remember. There we go. You work for Futurescope. Futurescope, I tell you what. If I'd known he was going to be bloody Irish, I wouldn't have called this fucking company Futurescope, because I have absolutely no idea how to say Futurescope in an Irish accent without trying to fold my mouth in and on itself. Isn't somebody here's from Ireland nuts? Were you Irish? I'm sure there was one or two. Futurescope. How do I say Futurescope in an Irish accent? I'm from Ireland and I work for. work for a company called Future Scope. Future Scope. Yes. All right. Human hairball. How do we pronounce Future Scope without sounding like that? Future Scope. I feel like my teeth are going to fall out of my face. Oh, right. Well, it should. Oh dear. You work for Future Scope, don't you? Sorry, unless you don't, and I'm going mad. You look like a woman I used to work with. Emma suddenly came back to life with full force and in far too high a volume. Yes, hi, it is me. I am Emma, and my name is Emma. I do work at Futurescope. Well, I did, or when I did, but I don't now because I can't, because I don't live in London anymore. I moved to Bath. The torrent of words and excitable explanations splattered Theo's shoes, and he blinked it all in. Right, he said. Me too. When did you move? Straight after you did, screamed Emma's brain, but she managed to get out a vague mumble that she hoped sounded like a couple of weeks ago. What a coincidence. The door to the garage opened and Jack came in. You chosen yet? He called cheerily to Emma. Emma remembered that Jack existed and waved back. No, not yet. Theo turned round and looked at Jack, who scowled back at Theo. Are you apologising? Jack said, lightly but tense. Apologising? Emma and Theo said in unison. That is beyond my pay grade. I can't be Emma and Theo in the same accent. Apologising? Can't get both accents into one. No, just no, I refuse to. And Beatrice, no, you can't have an entire episode of me trying to say Futurescope in different accents. In fact, for the rest of this book, Theo is never going to say those words ever again, and I will remember that when drafting future chapters. Right, where are we? Apologising, said Emma and Theo in unison, and Emma managed not to snort at this duet. Progress. For nearly hitting her with your car when you raced in. Jack was still eyeing Theo. Raced in? All right, Grandad, said Theo nonchalantly, but he shifted his weight to the other foot. Was that you? Said Emma. Nice car. Do you know each other? Said Jack to Emma. Yeah, we're old friends, said Theo, and in a move that Emma would have thought was coming straight out of one of her most ridiculous fantasies, he put his arm around her shoulders. And it was a good job, too, because had the weight of his arm not been there, Emma felt she would have floated right off the ground and out into space. We used to work together, she said, or at least hoped she did. There was every chance it had come out of her mouth as, will you marry me? Right, said Jack. Well, sorry, Em. Don't want to break up the party, but I need to get back to Elliot. Jack turned on his heel and headed back out to the car. Has it frozen? Are you guys, is it all right? Somebody's saying frozen. Seems like it hasn't. But I can never tell from my end. No, everybody else is okay. Jay, you might need to refresh. Right, said Jack. Well, sorry, Em. Don't want to break up the party, but I need to get back to Elliot. Jack turned on his heel and headed back out to the car. He's intense, said Theo, after a disappearing Jack. Oh, it's okay. Everybody's alive. Good. He's intense, Theo said after a disappearing Jack. He's not usually, said Emma, mentally preparing for a life where she didn't have Theo's arm around her and wondering if she should take up heroin to cope with the withdrawals. Well, listen, said Theo, still staring after Jack. Here's my number. I don't know many people in Bath, so if you ever fancy a catch-up, let me know. Ciao. He threw some notes over to the cashier and then walked ever so coolly out to his car. Emma paid for 8 packets of Haribo in a daze. She was really trying to work out whether everything she thought had just happened had happened. Was there a man in here just now? She whispered to the confused cashier. There were 2, love, said the woman behind the till. Right, said Emma. And one of them was the most handsome man on earth? The woman looked at her thoughtfully. £7.92, please. There you go. That is the end of chapter 12. It's all drama in the petrol station out between Bristol and Bath, somewhere slightly lost. Pew, pew, pew. Uh-oh. So here's your question to ponder before Well, yes, high drama, right? What? Here's your question to ponder before episode 13 tomorrow. How long does Emma wait before texting Theo? Does she wait 12 hours, 1 day, 3 days, or 1 week? Those are your options. So, does she wait 12 hours, 1 day, 3 days, or 1 week? How long is she going to wait before she texts him? Do, 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 do. There you go, Neil. Just for you. The woman, maybe it was Mrs. Shue, their crossover. What? The tech company, John, was Futurescope. Unfortunately, in Ireland, they changed the name to Ireland, because I can say that word in an Irish accent. So there you go. I'm a bit surprised she's not texting him before she's out of the store, but she'd have to well, I'm not going to lead you. Anyway, it's up to you, but get voting. I will post the options on the description now, and you guys can get voting before tomorrow. So have lovely days and nights and whatever. Keep yourself safe. Well done for staying in, you legends. And I'll see you at 10 o'clock tomorrow. All right. Have a nice one. Bye.